I've got a question for you boys.
Mm.
I want your
do.
thoughts on this, and it's topical. It's a topical question. Lots of talk today about the Stack fan event last night. Lots of talk about Brad Miller's comments with regard, or was it Brad Cooper?
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for
Cooper.
that. I didn't get onto it, and I was like, "What's he on about?" And then I realised I was like Bradley Cooper. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Great in the Hangover. Great in the Hangover. Not gonna lie.
Brilliant in the Hangover. I don't even talk
beautiful.
much about Bradley Cooper, so I don't even know where that comes from. But yeah.
But you know, Brad Miller's comments around a new stadium. I think it'd be rude not to give our thoughts on this before we wrap up the show, seeing as it's a very topical conversation. Talking about, you know, the rebuild is a possibility at St. James's Park, but if we did go and build a new stadium, it would offer the opportunity to double our revenue that we currently build at Newcastle United, and it would add a significant amount of new seats for fans to potentially attend games on a regular basis. Hearing those thoughts, what do you make of what Brad Miller said? Where is your stance on this situation now? I know we've been talking about this as the days and weeks have gone on. Where are we now? And people in the chat, please put your comments in. Aaron Robson is already coming with his opinion on this. What are your thoughts, boys? That's what are you? Where are you at right now?
Where am I at? Well, considering Chris and I were the three of us, but you were busy, Pete. But we're having a conversation today about season tickets and where we might pick our seats in this new stadium that hasn't been decided to be built yet, and would take an X amount of years to build. But we were picking our seats. That kind of a conversation we're having. So yeah, I think we're all in on a new stadium. But I think now that it was more redeveloped St. James's Park in some fashion, however you can do it. It's swayed as time has gone on, and the majority now seem to be towards new stadium. And there's a number of reasons behind that as well, to make us. To take us to that next level, and so I think someone said as well. I saw a tweet about it would be crazy not to take the advantage of what PIF can do as well, and the Jamie Rubin and the Rubens and their expertise, and build us that's something for the next generation as well, not just the here and now. But so yeah, and I think as it's gone on, and as it's going to be a one check and a significant decision, and one that's a life-changing kind of moment, I think I would be just disappointed now if it's not a new stadium. But we will see early January. Or sorry, early New Year, January, February.
Chris, where you at? Are you saying?
Yeah, do you know what, Pete? Yeah, and I think, to be fair, not bragging, but I think as a channel, the three of us, and maybe I'm fair saying this, I think we've been pretty consistent from the start. We've all said, maybe we've got our own unconscious biases, who knows, but I think we've all said from the start that, like, you know, as much as it would be, you know, a bit of a wrench to leave to leave St. James's Park, you know, it would be sad, and there's been a lot of, you know, great memories there, and you know, maybe we don't have, you know, the same attachment as, say, a season ticket holder who's there every other week. I appreciate that, but, you know, still have those memories. I think times have to move on, and this is what we consistently said. You know, if we want to build as a club, you know, the revenues need to go up, and I think the more bums that are on seats in the stadium, and if it means that we can get better players on the pitch, if it means that we can advance, we can progress quicker, I think, you know. And Pete, we've spoken about this before, haven't we? You know, you and I were at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it was a mouth open moment. It was just like, wow. Like, imagine we had this. And Peter, I'm sorry if I pronounce his name wrong, Peter Clennell, he posted a video on X this week of a stadium, you know, built and it just looks brilliant. It looks absolutely brilliant, and I think we've said from the start, boys, as long as it's done correctly, as long as it's done with the engagement of the fans, which I have every belief that it will be. It won't just be, oh, here's your new stadium, get on with it. I think a lot of thought and effort will go in terms of trying to make it look like home. We know, and maybe this could have been something we asked Lawless, actually. We know that teams like West Ham, who were kind of, adopted a stadium and then they're just plonked in there, it doesn't have the same feel. Like, obviously, their stadium was an Olympic track stadium. Yeah, and it's not. That's not good. We won't have that. It will be custom built. It will be made how we want it. It will be, I think there'll be a lot of fan engagement. I think there'll be a lot of, a lot. Well, we saw when the owners came in, didn't we? We saw that.
So I'm sorry, Chris. I'm laughing at this one from Claire because the guy who bought the land behind the East End and put the stupid fence up will get 0. That's classic as well. I love that thought.
That's a great point. That's a great point. We know a lot of thought and effort will go into it, and I think, as I say, we've been consistent in that. It will that was the point I was making. When the new owners came in, we were all amazed at when they washed the windows. And they repainted it, and all these little fine little touches, which meant so much to us as fans. There's no doubt that's what's going to happen in this new stadium. It wouldn't surprise me if there was little elements lifted from St James's Park to the new stadium to make it feel that more at home. So yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer, and I think fans, as soon as it's built, as soon as you step foot in it, I think fans will be like, yeah. This is the real deal now. And then obviously, you're talking about a training academy and stuff like that. It's long overdue. It should have been done years and years and years ago. And now I think it would be absolutely mind blowing. We've got these owners and they want to invest. And if we don't allow them, or we object to them building a new stadium, I just think it's a massive mistake. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I think we have to take it with both hands, because let's be honest, it's not going to be we'll just give you the stadium, there you go, I'll throw a few quid at it. It's going to be the best stadium. We said this today, didn't we, boys? It's going to be the best stadium in the UK. It's probably going to be the best stadium in Europe, if not the world. Why would we not want that? Why?
Makes perfect sense. Look, I've advocated for a new stadium, and the thing is that, and a couple of people have put it in the chat. We're not saying that we don't care about St James's Park. Of course, it's an iconic stadium. It's an iconic stadium, not just for us, but for everyone in this country. They always talk about how good St James's Park is, but just like every other stadium in this country, you have to move with the times. Every current stadium in this country had a point in which it wasn't developed, and it's been added to as they've gone along. Every stadium you look at, it's been developed over time, and every stadium at some point has to then get to its maximum before you look at it and go, do we keep it as it is, or do we move on to something bigger and better? And we're at that stage now. We've redeveloped St James's Park. It's been bigger and better than it was previously, going into the 90s, into the 2000s. But we've got to the point where we've maximized everything that we can with St James's Park. And it gets to the point where we now think, right, for us as a club, in order to be better, what do we need to do next? And for me, it's a no-brainer. We have to move to a new stadium. And there's a few caveats to that. Now, we have to move to a new stadium for lots of reasons, for financial reasons, of course, for bums on seats reasons. There are not enough seats to fill the demand of tickets for matches. It's as simple as that. And we have to look at that next phase for Newcastle United. We have to think about the club and where the club wants to be. The club with more bums on seats, with a bigger stadium, the best stadium has already been mentioned. Newcastle United Stadium would be one of the best. Someone put in the chat, oh yeah, we need to, I think it might be an Alan, we need to do it before Man United do it. I'm interested in Man United. I'm not interested in Man United and what they do. However, Everton have just built their new stadium, so their revenue is going to be massively improved, which is going to give them more financial clout. But I'm not even worried about them. I wouldn't be surprised if Aston Villa start to announce new plans for a new stadium very, very soon. I won't be surprised if other clubs around are not doing the same, because they know that the revenue will create. Arsenal are already talking about expanding their stadium to improve their revenue. So they're looking at where they can get money and redevelop and do. And they've moved from an iconic stadium in Highbury. So everybody is having to make difficult decisions, and it is a difficult decision. But the key to it is a new stadium will bring more revenue, double the amount of what we currently get right now. That alone puts us in a conversation where we're already punching weight with the top six just by a new stadium coming in, the financial capabilities. And this is the key here to it all, lads. This is the key to it all. It shouldn't necessarily be, but it is. Financial revenue, how much money we generate. That puts us alongside the top six. So not only will we be punching weight with the top six in terms of football on the pitch, we'll be doing it financially at the back, which a lot of clubs aren't doing right now. Secondly, it allows more fans to go into the stadium week in, week out, which has been the bugbear for the last 2 or 3 years. For a lot of fans, a lot of discontent about not being able to get tickets, about the ballots and everything else, okay, that would ease a lot of concerns that are currently there right now. So that's 2 points. The third point in there, in relation to the tickets and bums on seats, potential for season tickets. Fans that gave up their season tickets because of the horrible error under Mike Ashley and then weren't able to get those season tickets back. New fans that want the opportunity to have a season ticket, it gives us an opportunity for that too. And then the fourth thing on top of that, the thing that generates a lot of additional money, hospitality. A lot of fans are not happy with the hospitality because it takes away from fans that genuinely want to come in and just watch the game week in, week out. Why not do both? Why not offer a hospitality option that earns lots and lots of money, but still get the fans that want to come in, week out and support the club, not pay those extensive prices? Okay, it happens to answer a lot of, if not all of the quality, the concerns and questions that Newcastle United fans have been asking for the last few years. And if we can combine that and put that together by building a new stadium, then it makes logical sense. Logical sense. Now, the club have said they want to pay and write a check once. They want to write one big check once. For me, to rebuild and redevelop St. James's Park as that one big check would be a huge mistake, in my opinion, for the club and the ownership to make. It's now time. Now, a lot of caveats to that. A lot of people have said in response, I put a tweet out earlier and they're saying, yes, but, and I agree. It needs to be in close proximity to where the current stadium is right now.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say to that is that from the noises we're hearing and we've been hearing for the last 3 months, those conversations with the club and the council, the club and the local area, Leazes Park being one of those conversations, they seem to be already happening. So I trust that the club are going to make the right decision in terms of doing their due diligence around the area to make sure that the decisions that are being made are right. Equally, if we do move into a new stadium, the iconic elements, the Gallagate, the Strawberry Corner, all those things, the things that make it iconic, even the slope going down to the Gallagate. I genuinely think all of those things will be taken into consideration. I genuinely do. I really do think all of those things will be taken into consideration to hold on to what made St. James's Park so special, because it did. And I think the club have already proven with a lot of fan events, a lot of fan interaction, what they've done so far. I think that will continue as a new stadium in redevelopment if they announce it. And I'm confident that the club will make the right decisions. But that's just me on that. I think it's a no-brainer. It's the logical decision, and I do feel that if we get this, it will put us onto a completely different stratosphere in terms of what we can do. And it'll put us right where we want to be, within that top 6, soon to be top 7, because we'll be in that conversation with money generated, money to be spent on transfers, and we'll be able to really kind of punch with it with the top boys in that situation. I genuinely believe that.
Couple of points on what you've just said, Pete. I thought particularly the hospitality point was a really good one. I know, we're looking to improve connections for, flights wise, from Saudi Arabia. Imagine if we had this fantastic hospitality suite or section within the stadium, no doubt all around the stadium. That is also built, for the fans from Saudi Arabia who want to come over. And if it's in a hospitality section, that for me that's perfect. The fans who aren't there going to be there week in, week out, the ones who come over for special occasions or special events. If you've got a big hospitality offering, that's a great way of bringing the money in and making sure that people can sit there. Yes, some of the sections will be astronomical prices, but it's going to be an option for people in Saudi Arabia to be able to come over. So having a fantastic hospitality offering, I think is going to be really good, as well as obviously increasing the capacity in the normal seats, if you like. But the second point I wanted to make, and it's more a question actually. Lots of fans have been discussing, haven't they? What capacity, how many seats do we need? How many seats would you do? So what I want to ask you boys, Bradley Miller, not Cooper, gets on the phone and he goes, right, your decision. How many seats? What allocation would you have in the new stadium? What would you suggest to be the allocation in the new stadium? I've got a figure in my head, but I'm just wondering what you boys would pick. Obviously, current capacity is just over 52,000. What do you think? Well, what would you pick, and what do you think the owners will end up going with?
Go on, Daz.
Yeah, look, to tell you the truth, I haven't. It doesn't. I think they should have enough, right? I don't want a crazy amount either, because I don't want it to look at the gaps all over the place, or some way that you can expand and contract, perhaps as well. So I don't really have a figure. Just let's get the decision there first, and I think 70 has to be the starting point for me. 70 plus, just to make sense. It like, yeah, let's stop there.
Yeah,
Pete.
I'm the same, Daz. If we're talking about a brand new stadium, state of the art stadium that has everything in it, and I know Claire Jesus put 80,000, Jordy Two for Life put 70, 75. For me, I think the figure that we should be looking at, and there's a caveat to this, should be 70,000 seat stadium. It should be a 70,000 seat stadium for Newcastle United with the new stadium. However, what it should be is a little bit what Arsenal are doing right now. It should have the potential to expand if we need to. If we and look, it's only a matter of time, however many years that will be. It will happen at some point. Newcastle United rise with the financial strength and capability to fight with the top teams and fight at that top table on a regular basis. I think that brings in more new fans. It brings in more capacity. It brings in more sponsorships and all the rest of it. I think there's then a conversation then to potentially, like Man City have done twice now, is they've expanded their stadium on top of what they already did to make it bigger. And I think that should be within that conversation, is that if we're going to build a stadium, it should have the capacity to be able to extend it further. So if we go in at 70,000, I think we can fill 70,000 on a regular basis. I think with our fan base, with the demand of the club, and then the financial capabilities that allowed us to keep fighting at the top, I think we would regularly fill that. And I think a number of years afterwards, there could be a conversation for increasing it to 75, which is the same as Man United, which is the biggest in England other than Wembley. And then the world's your oyster after that, depending on how big we get and how many trophies we win. Because I do believe that will be within our future regardless. That's kind of where I'm at. But what about you, Chris?
I'm not far off you boys. I was going to say 75. But funnily enough, when I watched that video the other day, with the design, and anyone who hasn't seen it, it's a fantastic video. So search Peter Clennell, and I think Pete did a quote tweet on it. So get on Pete's Twitter and have a look. What I was thinking was it would be great having, like you said, Pete, having the capability to be able to expand. And I'm sure there's incredibly clever people out there who would be able to, you know, plan so that it's got so many seats, and then you could easily build on it. But what I liked from that video was it was like a square, but it had gaps on each corner. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, yeah, because if you did it like that, you could then go, oh, do you know what? We want to add another 10,000 to it. Let's just fill in that gap there, and then you're not affecting the existing fans that are in there, because that's another thing, isn't it? If we, you know, touching on what you said before, Pete, if we were to expand St James's Park, we need to move out, and then where do we go? And it's going to be a long time. It's a lot of money. Then we're going to have to find a temporary stadium, which some fans won't be happy with, and how long will it take? But if you built a, you know, all-purpose stadium with the potential, you know, if you had like the gaps on each corner, and then you went, you know what, let's put another stand in there, and then all of a sudden then you just create a bowl, but you've got the capacity to be able to add 5,000-10,000 onto each corner, and then all of a sudden, if our growth is as big as what we hope and what we expect it to be, you know, you could quite easily have a 95,000 stadium once you'd filled all the corners in. But it's doing the job, and it's not affecting the people who are already there, because you can start building on it, and people can still come in and, you know, take the match in and stuff, and not have to move or not be able to seats shut down and stuff like that. So there's ways of doing it. But yeah, I take your point. I think it would need to be, and it would be, you know, like this fantastic stadium that has the capability to be easily expanded without minimal disruption.
Yeah. The only thing I change of what the both of you have described is that I wouldn't be building this extra things. I'd have it automated that it can like at the touch of a button. Well, maybe a bit more manual intervention to expand it. And let's say for a semi-final or a Champions League games that you can add in, it would allow like another 5,000 in that, and then that can be retracted again in some fashion. And these guys that are doing this, it'll be the state of the art. Yeah, look, we have to get there first. Let's see. Let's wait.
First, that'd be the first of its kind, as if we did that, and that's not to say it's not possible, because I think it is possible to have those retractable seats and to open up additional seats if needed. Some people have mentioned it in the chat, NFL, NBA, you know, other events, concerts, for example, that would all be able to be increased. Boxing, for example, the Riyadh season, like that would be able to generate. Think of the money that it generates outside of football; it would be unbelievable. It would just be completely changing, not just to the club, but the community in the city. And that's the thing that sometimes gets forgotten. The stadium would generate so much money. It would add so many new jobs. It would add so much opportunity for other people in the community to earn money and be able to redevelop the city as a whole. It would become a beacon of the north, where so many people come in. We've got an airport. People come in, fly in to come and see us. Puts more light on Newcastle as a city, as a community, as an area of the country that a lot of people for years outside of the UK don't really talk about. They would start to talk about us a lot more, that's for sure. And it just opens up everything wider than just football conversation. But I just wanted to...
Sorry, Pete, I was just going to say from what you said, and imagine the surrounding area of the stadium, because it's on a new plot. It'd be like, oh, let's put a hotel there. Oh, let's put this there. And there'd be all kinds around the stadium, because they'd have the extra lands, no doubt, you know, on the outskirts of it. And then there would then be reason for, and I think that's what Everton are hoping to do as well, so that people go there like every day. Oh, I'm going to go and have a meal, or I'm going to go for a pint, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And that in itself, as you say, will generate more and more and more money.
Definitely.
I'm going to go there to roar abuse at someone. Is what they're doing now, isn't it?
That as well, I'm going to go to do.
Yeah. But look, the conversation is going to run on. I'm sure we'll be having that conversation, maybe in tandem with the transfer window. Because if it's an early January or early 2025 release of what's planned for the stadium, who knows? We could be having that conversation alongside